Cult of the Lamb is the latest Devolver Digital published indie darling developed by Massive Monster. You play as a cute little lamb who's given the red crown by a banished bishop, and you devote your life to beginning a new cult and getting new followers in his name in order to unchain him. Cult of the Lamb is a beautiful, engaging experience that I have a few critiques for, but overall I found that it was worth the $20 price tag. I love the theme and art style of this game. It's visually stunning and beautiful. It has a semi-2D paper style and a dark cult aesthetic that I'm just infatuated with how it looks. The story is pretty simple, admittedly, but I just love the contrast of cute animals and cult leader demons and creepy, crawly enemies. It's right on my alley and I think it's sick. As a gamer, I kind of have a soft spot for cute games like this. You know, some of my favorite games are Slime Rancher, Yakuza, Bugsnax. I mean, I just love cute characters and that kind of aesthetic. One of the strengths of this game would be the base building and the cult management aspect of it. Compared to other games, it's definitely a lot more simple. I could say that for a lot of this game, but I thought it felt great to manage your cult members and also interact with them in a bunch of different ways. There's a lot of great mini storylines you can have with your cult, and the fact that you can name and customize all your cult members as you indoctrinate them really helps that aspect of the game. For example, one of my members wanted to play a prank on another member by making him eat poop, like feces, like doo-doo. I mean, to be fair, that is pretty funny. I thought I got a laugh out of that, so I did it. Then, a few days later, he hits me up and he's like, let's throw this guy in jail. That'd be fucking hilarious. And then a few more days later, he came back to me a third time. The same guy came to me with a request. And he wanted me to pull the ultimate prank of fucking just killing this guy. And, you know, I sat there for a second and I collected my thoughts and I put my foot down. And I killed both of them. I did feel bad about this, so I buried the victim to honor his death and, you know, his sacrifice to the cult. And I also resurrected the fucking weird guy and just forced him to work for me for the rest of his second life. You know, this is just an example of the crazy shit that can happen in this game. There's not an infinite amount of stories that can be generated with this, but if you're creative, you can definitely, you know, have an enjoyable experience. You know, it's not like on a RimWorld level of stuff where it's a full-on storyline generator. I think there's a decent amount of experiences that you can pull from this game. Oh, stop right there. This video is sponsored by me. I made a new album called Clearfile Extra. I got the real version right here, but you can also listen to it on YouTube, Spotify, Bandcamp. You can buy a real one if you want. It's even got a epic CD. Look at that. That's crazy. But yeah, I worked really hard on it, and if you want to give it a listen, that would be awesome. No matter what you're doing in this game, time is always progressing, which means you have to balance how long you leave your cult to its own devices. Now, there is a lot of side areas and like little mini games you can do on the side, or you can go into the main dungeon, which is how you progress the story and also collect more materials outside of your own base. Now, the dungeon and doing the combat inside the dungeon is probably considered the other half of the game, but to be honest, it's more of like a 60-40, the 60% being like the cult management. The combat is fine. It's not the greatest. It's really simple, and the roguelike mechanics of choosing cards throughout your run kind of leaves a lot to be desired. It feels great on a roguelike standpoint of progressing and unlocking more stuff, but it's not as strong as other games that I enjoy, and I'm a roguelike Randy, okay? The weapons are really one note, and it's essentially hitting and dodging. I mean, the main difference between the weapons is different affixes and kind of like swing speed, but you can also find stronger weapons throughout your run, but there's no like hard set synergies or builds that you can go for. It's kind of just getting the most damage, or choosing between whether you want to do a weapon build or a spell build. I don't want to rag on it too much, because it's not like it's bad. I just would have preferred something more deep and fleshed out. I think it's fine for what it is. You mostly run these to get more resources for your cult, and if you actually die in the middle of the run, then half of your resources are taken away from you and your cult laughs at you and loses faith in you. That's kind of funny. I did play this on the hardest difficulty, and from what I could tell, this mostly just changes how much damage you're taking. There was a time in the game where I was dying over and over, but eventually after I unlocked more stuff, it wasn't that bad. Something interesting that can happen during these dungeons is you can run into the bishops on these runs and they will taunt you and do something to your cult. Like one time I ran into this guy who inflicted a plague on my cult. One guy wanted me to kill one of my followers. That was kind of fucked up. I thought this was a great mechanic because it gives you problems to deal with once you get finished with the dungeon. I need water. Why am I even wearing my earbuds? I'm not listening to anything. That's just fake. The biggest problem I have with this game is I want more of it. It dips its toes in the player choice through the doctrines and different fleeces, but I wish it tried to give players more difficult choices more often. If you were given more difficult choices that would affect your food, your buildings, your followers, these decisions would be more impactful, and the doctrines you choose would have even more influence over how you run your cult. Maybe something like choosing between the lives of two followers or having to deal with outside forces could be interesting. I love the groundwork here, but giving the player more decision would be a really healthy addition to the game. Cult of the Lamb feels really good when it hits its stride. I would say this is when you hit the cycle of running dungeons, unfolding new mechanics, and unlocking new buildings and doctrines, and trying out new things with your followers. I really enjoy how many of these systems flow into each other, and it feels good to unlock something and try something new. My favorite unlocks are the doctrines, which influence your cult a lot since you can't get all of them on one save file. You usually lock to one doctrine or the other, which leads to some pretty interesting choices in what rituals you want to use on your cult. These are really influential, and talking with my dad and my brother who are also playing the game, they chose different doctrines with me. So it was interesting to see like what options they had and like how that influenced what they built and like what they did with their followers. At the start of the game, you feel more like a janitor instead of cult leader, but as you progress, more actions become automated and more efficient. You still have to manage your cult a bit, but after unlocking more rituals and shit, it becomes easier and more fulfilling to reap your rewards as the glorious leader. If you played this game and enjoyed the base building progression aspect of it, I would recommend a game called Forager, which is kind of similar in this aspect. I might replay this game in the future, but I remember really enjoying it. But after beating the game, I still have stuff to unlock for the 100%, so I think I'm going to do that before they add in some more content. I didn't really expect to see some kind of update roadmap for this game. It seemed like a pretty solid experience. I'll definitely play whatever content they had in mind for their roadmap. At this price point, I already got 20 plus hours. I'm probably going to dump a few more hours to get 100%. But yeah, that was my video on Cult of the Lamb. I hope you found it enjoyable. I hope you liked watching it. Definitely working on some more stuff. And thanks for watching.